Well then, let's just... I've just had a delicious inch-thick pork shoulder steak for lunch. It was fucking spectacular. Given to me as part of a birthday present by my good friend Sasha Destan, who I follow on Twitter, and I've probably referenced a few times. They are very good people. And I just felt like I had to chase that with a nice innocent gun. Just because if I'm going to be getting into this game again, and I do really like it, I'm going to need to treat myself a little bit to, you know, maintain my psychological well-being in the process, because I'll be honest, the more I reflect about this game and the more I reflect about why I enjoy it, I'm not saying it's actually concerning myself with becoming like a fucking sadist or anything, but there's definitely something to be said about challenging person playing this game and seeing precisely how interested they are in it. So, you never know. But anyway, let us, without much further ado, kick straight back into it. Oh dear. So I've heard that the devs are actually trying to roll out another patch, but they've had to hold fire for today, so I don't believe I should run into any compatibility issues. Oh. Innocent Gun, if you've never had it before, bourbon, I was going to say it's actually produced in bourbon casks, isn't it? Yeah, bourbon barrel Scotch ale. It's got this amazing flavour to it. If Innocent Guns want to skip me over a freebie for that shout out, feel free, but I thought they come in smaller bottles is also quite nice. It means you're not going to feel like you're having to power through the last third of it just for the sake of it. Anyway. Oh yes. I should probably make sure you all can see the fucking stream as well. Not just sit here playing it with it. Nobody wants to see what's going on. Oh dear, that'd be typical of me, wouldn't it? Right, so previously we had... well, we'd gone through quite a bit. We'd basically... yeah. We ended up putting the groundskeeper in a few different places, one of which was inside a dog, made friends with a surgeon who might possibly be trying to stop a cult from forming in his workshop, and did some home decoration. I just love the fact that this game doesn't necessarily veer, but is not afraid to have, like, kind of nice slice of life stuff with the Executioner, and then dive right back into the real grim, gritty horror of the actual day-to-day work of this man. It's kind of impressive. Anyway, let's crack on, shall we? I also like the fact the loading screen is the guillotine, which is kind of the thing that made a lot of Executioners out of a job. Hello, Rufus. Hoists up. Don't fucking hoist me, you slag. Man elevates me. Oh dear, right. You get up at sunrise. Your hands habitually open the shutters, draw a bucket of water from the well, make up a fire in the hearth, grease the frying pan. Oh, hang on a second. I've already done this! Oh, for fuck's sake, why did you not save? Arsehat!
Alright, so I'm sorry, I'm going to very quickly skip over to where we were previously. Make meat, doot. Oh god, we've got to go through all this again. Shit, okay, I'm going to rapid fire through this. Shut the fuck up, arsehat! That's. And then we did not take the
There we go, now we're back to here. Apparently that whole thing I've got to get through first. By not quite Sweetwater. For fuck's sake. Right, so, Leech End is where we've got to go. The pharmacy in Leech End is one of the oldest in the city, a source of pride for its owner. The girl collects rare herbs in the forest and sells them to the pharmacist for next to nothing. Chapel of the Angel. A wide avenue leads to the Chapel of the Angel. Here, main church celebrations take place. The snow-white body of the bell tower makes cloudy day brighter. The marble angel looks at you sadly from the pedestal in front of the high doors. And El Palacio. So, I mean, I guess we're probably just going to go straight over to here. See what's going on at Leech End. The two of you walk along a dark facade of the hospital, when you apprehend someone's sticky, oily stare. A fat apothecary carelessly nods to the maid from his store window. Your companion lowers her head, hides her calloused hands under her apron and goes in, whispering to you to wait outside. You do not listen deliberately to their talk, but the words that fly out of the window strike your ears as if you were 5 years old again and street urchins are slinging stones at you. Familiar, unpleasant, distracting. Just because I used to buy herbs from your grandma doesn't mean that I must purchase them from you. You must be glad to be entrusted with apprentices' work. The apothecary sounds sour. Only yesterday I brought everything you called for. If you wish, I will promptly collect more. You can almost hear her clenching her fingers nervously under her apron. You hang around with God knows who, and then expect decent people to open their doors for you. His hissing surely makes the maid nod acquiescently and turn her face away. Several more words roll into a sharp whack of a blow. You head for the door. The gamekeeper's daughter darts out with her cheek glowing red and says hastily, My grandma's house is in that lane over yonder. Let's go. Boo. Do I want to intervene with this? Oh, hello, soul. Go to bed, Equilibrium, fuck's sake. I want to kick the shit out of him, but I also don't want to feel like a fucking white knight running around trying to be the hero. Yeah, let's go with that. The master likes you. Be careful. These are the only words you say. You know the stare with which the apothecary followed your companion. This woman is in for trouble, your father once said, nodding at an arrogant market vendor and his ragged female customer. 6 months later, your father hanged her in the square. The destitute laundry girl got rid of her unborn baby, but her neighbour saw her burying it in a gullet behind her house and reported. On the scaffold, that laundress wailed like a madwoman. You somehow feel uncomfortable imagining the maid in her place. The gamekeeper's daughter half opens her mouth in surprise, but says nothing, only stoops her head even lower. Tired crow's feet in the corners of her eyes increase the anxiety I felt throughout the morning. So we're kind of heading en route, I suppose. So that will take us straight to it. We've got the Duke's mansion and we've got the slaughterhouse. Do I just want to take her over and go like, and this is where the sausages are made, and this is where the people worship the blood cult, and you know what, let's swing by, just see if these guys have got anything to say. On the way from Leech End, your companion keeps a gloomy silence. You make your way across an arched stone bridge, leaving behind a gloomy meatpacking building with its smoke-spitting chimneys. Clouds of dense, oily smoke drift over the river and thicken above streets. You decided to shield yourself from it with the sound of your companion's voice. I've met the slaughterhouse owner recently. He's weird. Curious. The gamekeeper's daughter returns a pale smile. I've heard the son of the former owner is a man of learning. When the old man died from an illness, his son quickly took everything into his own hands. The butchers adore the young master. He holds some kind of meetings on evenings, and earlier used to invite poor boys to take lessons from him. They say he even brought in a teacher, but no one showed up. Bad place it is here. Here sounds like music, brightening up this somber part of the city. You ask, automatically, only to make the melody last longer. Why? It's almost as bad as in the square, the maid whispers, casting a glance back. Cows are not endowed with reason, but they can feel the proximity of death. They bellow so miserably when led to slaughter. I've never heard such sounds in the forest. There, animals die free. Everyone are afraid of death. To be fair, let's be... Sweetwater, you bastard. Bring your father to work day. Everyone are afraid of death. I wonder if that's intentionally supposed to be really like kind of janky the way he says it. That's like the poor executioner tripping over his own words. You didn't mean to scare her, just uttered your thoughts aloud, but these words hanged above the two of you like a sinister dark cloud. Only those who have something to lose, the maid notices. For some, death is a happy riddance. For whom? Prisoners in the torture chamber beg for death, that's true. But this is the gamekeeper's daughter ever been in dungeons? The ill, the mad. Everyone has their term, but for some it's unmercifully long, she answers, laying her hand on the angel figurine. So she's into euthanasia, that's nice. Rufus, stop edging in the chat, you fucking filth. Out of the corner of your eye, you register a dazzling flash of white and gold, as if someone has called you suddenly. Look, you say, looking up. From your vantage point atop a hillock by the river gates, the whole city is spread out before you. The fish market, roofs from the Embassy Row, treetops of the park, and the lily-white mansion of the Duke upon a hill. The park covers the hillside down to the city wall, beyond which it continues as the forest. Somewhere over there are the Duke's hunting lodge and the hut where the gamekeeper's daughter had lived until recently. This mansion is higher than any other building within the city. I've read in a chronicle that when it was built, the tower over the palace itself, so a king ordered the first Duke to dismantle the upper floors. Your father always smiled when you quoted something from memory. The gamekeeper's daughter does not. Her stare, straight as an arrow, seems to reach the smoke, invisible from here, coming out of the chimney of her former home. She shifts her gaze to the mansion, and her fair skin feels dotted with invisible but ugly sores of hatred. Do you miss your home? My home was my dad. The maid cuts, as if dropping an axe blade upon someone's neck. Now I have nothing left of him. And now I don't even know who it was that wanted his death. The echo of her words tremble within you like a string. For the first time you can share your thoughts and feelings with someone other than your father. This kind of mutual understanding is novel for you. And you give voice to the idea that has just come into your head. We must visit the gamekeeper's hut. Has the Duke already appointed a new gamekeeper? The maid lowers her eyes. Yes, there is a new owner in the hut now. The Duke appointed one of the foresters to father's opposition. Why? You don't have a clear answer, but it could be important. Let's take a look at this new owner, but first, let's look around. Another poacher might have left traces. The maid looks at you intently, then lets out an unhappy laugh. I can find traces in the forest. Can you? You think about it. The city speaks to you in a language familiar from childhood, but will the forest be as easy to understand? It's fine, I can handle it myself. The gamekeeper's daughter breaks the silence. Let's go. The street led you directly to the hedge surrounding the Duke's mansion. It's a stone's throw from here to the park gates out of the city. To the house! The two of you walk out of the park gates and head north towards the forest. Throughout this long day, the city has worn you out with evil warding gestures. People hate you, and neither the ragged caress of pavements nor the silken hands of marble columns nor the laughter of stained glass windows can protect you from their hatred. The worst things are going in the kingdom. The more people fear to end up in the executioner's hands, even if there's no fault against them. Your father warned you about it. He used to say that nobody's opinion has meaning, but you can't stay so indifferent to sidelong looks. It's just... I want to be something more than an executioner. The forest makes no accusations as people do, but it is a closed book for you. The silence of the woods, so much praised by poets, rings in your ears, and with rustle of leaves, songs of birds, and smells of wild beasts and hunters' horses. Gradually you begin to discern certain images in this cacophony, but it will take you a lot of time. The maid keeps silence, striding ahead of you, her breath now deeper and less constrained. In the shade of the forest, she seems to once again become a child who has just awoken from a long slumber and is now looking around in surprise. How long since she has left home? Judging by her unseen movements, an eternity must have passed. Yet the sorrowful ingathering of the brows before her eyes has smoothed out. You notice it when the maid turns to you. Here we are, she says in a quiet voice. It is here that hunters have found the slain deer. CSI! Wherever the fuck we are. Go! Let me just have a little sippy. Yes, it hurts my hat! Oh no! Something I can combine my job with football. Blade goes down, head rolls, I punt the sucker into a goal across the square mentioned. And thus rugby was created. Near a fallen pine tree, among tall grass, smelling of poison. That's a lot of grass, smelling of poison and sleep. The maid kneels down and surveys the ground and the broken branches. She looks disappointed. You see the clearing entangled in a web of human, horse and dog footprints. It's all so trampled. She picks up a half-broken twig with her finger. The Duke's men have passed through this place like a hurricane. The swarm of flies beckons you to approach the horses. Parting the branches, you see worms feasting on the carcass of a young deer. It did not occur to anybody to pick it up. The animal for which one man has been hanged and now another is being sought. The maid's eyes dart past her shoulder. Suddenly you become acutely aware that the same thought is on her mind, and that she can't believe the thing before you to be the cause of her father's death. Caught between the deer's antlers is pungent odour of grass, as well as one more smell, acrid, subtle, and foreign to the forest. You follow the dark purple thread and clearly hear behind the fallen tree, aside the trail, the shade of long presence of someone with a stench of cheap alcohol. It smells here, you say, stopping. The maid is surprised. Of what? I don't feel anything unusual. Come, you follow the thread of the scent. It leads you up a hillock to an overgrown small hollow. Here the smell is strongest. The maid wrinkles her nose. They spilled ale here. A lot of it. The smell is so strong. Someone hid here. Why? You look back. The clearing with the fallen tree is perfectly visible through the branches, yet the maid's green skirt blends utterly into the dense foliage. A good hiding spot. With a rustle of leaves, the maid climbs out of the hollow. It seems like the Duke's men and their dogs haven't gone past the clearing. There are clearly visible tracks here. One man, a large one, probably rather strong. He had been sitting here for a long time, drinking. The maid shows you her find, an empty clay bottle. There's a wood grouse on the bottom, she adds, surprised. It's an emblem of a tavern. How do you know, you ask? Father and uncle used to visit it. Golden Caperciali, I believe. They sell game there. Interesting, you say. Your uncle was in the city, you remember. She nods, but in the next breath tosses her head indignantly. I mean, it's a lead. With some wedding type shit, whoever hits it in the head gets the hit. What the fuck did you just spell that? It's Guillemotine. I refuse to believe that was autocorrect. We should visit this place anyway, you say, just because there are the most cooling words that come to mind. She nods and descends from the hillock. You continue your way through the forest, a trail above which hangs a rich and sweet smell of smoke. You find yourself in a glade from which thin wisps of smoke curling among pine trees are visible. Oh, there's someone at home! Uncle, maybe! And the maid darts off as if the hope audible in her words were pushing her from behind. You barely keep pace with her. A sullen rustle of trampled grass near the trail tells you forebodingly that the maid is mistaken. A small clearing above a brook is filled with sweetly smiling flowers. Almost there, whispers the maid, and the smell of smoke and sun-warmed logs echoes her words. When the shadow of the cabin engulfs you in its silence, the maid shudders perceptibly. You can hear her excitement, her tension, and her fear. Behind the cabin, near the back porch, there is a pile of home utensils, old clothing and bundles of some herbs. Smoke is billowing up from the oil-fed flame. Two gravely silent men in plain clothes are bringing the previous tenant's stuff out of the house and throwing it indifferently into the fire. The maid rushes to the pile and snatches a small bundle of rags out of the flame. The elder of the two, grey-haired and strong-handed, first freezes in surprise, then grasps the maid by the shoulder and pushes her aside, and turns to face you, grim as a guard dog. His younger companion, just a lad, walks down the porch steps, feeling for the knife handle at his waist. The senior stops him with a bark and grumbles, "What do you need?" "Time for combat, motherfucker!" Oh shit, it's all in Russian! Well,